Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with really exciting news. Well, for me anyway, it's probably not that exciting for you, but I finally got my first ever cup win. Yep, first cup win, and it was with Roaring Moon EX. So yeah, here's a picture of me with oh god, that doesn't work. Okay, with the champion playmat. I'll just reset the page there, and a picture of the deck with, of course, again the champions playmat. I just wanted to talk about the deck and my deck choice, my not just the deck choices, but the choices of the cards in the deck as well. Because Roaring Moon was one of those ones where when it first sort of started to come about. I mean, I was very scared of it. I was like, "Geez, this card's super good," and then it sort of didn't really perform anywhere near as good in majors as I thought it was going to. So yeah, I thought we could go into it, talk about um, each of the rounds I had, just a little bit from what I can remember. Anyway, yeah, I decided not to record anything at this cup. This was the um, oh my god, Bridge Troll Cup in Tiverton. Um, yeah, I decided not to record, which was a bit silly. We had a top four. I believe we had 16 or 18 masters there. But yeah, is what it is. I had some really good games as well, so sad I didn't record it. But hey ho, um, can't go back in time. Anyway, rather than looking at the list like this, we can look at the list like this because I got it up on Limitless. Now, you'll probably notice straight away that there is Darkrai V-Star, so I've opted to go for the Darkrai V-Star variant of Roaring Moon for the purpose of the competition. I did a little bit of testing with it, um, and I just found it to be really good, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. But let's just go through the line here. So, Roaring Moon EX. If you don't know what Roaring Moon EX does, um, well, you've got two Darkness Energy, one colorless. Frenzied Gouging knocks your opponent's Pokemon out, just knocks them out, and does 200 damage to itself. So it's it can be costly. It can be costly, but you always get the knockout, which is great. Second attack, Calamity Storm, 100 damage plus 120 if you discard a Stadium card in play. So you got that as a choice as well. You don't have to do it. It's Dark type, 2 energy retreat, cost weak to grass, which is a great weakness to have as well. Play 4. All right. Now the Darkrai V Star. So the the first real big use for Darkrai V-Star that I thought was that I was just going to use the V-Star ability to pull 2 item cards out of the discard pile into hand. I can reuse Dark Patches. I can potentially grab Double Cross Switcher. But it started to get a little bit more intricate than that in a few matchups. There were times where I actually was just pulling Earthen Vessel out, pulling out a Pokegear to dig for the Sader or even one of the other two supporters in the deck, things like that. So yeah, there's more than a couple options with the Darkrai. I mean, it was more useful than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't sure about Darkrai when I started seeing a couple lists online floating around. I wasn't mega sure on it, but I give it a go. I actually took this to a locals, to my local league on the Friday before the Sunday competition. Played 2 games with it. Decided it was all right. Was sort of between playing this and Iron Valley and Entei. I don't really know why I chose it, but I'm glad I did now because yeah, it was a good competition and obviously the result was fantastic. Yes, that's the 1/1 Darkrai. We've got the 1 Radiant Greninja. Of course, we need some kind of draw power in the deck. There's not a lot of it. There's not a lot of Pokemon. There's only 9 as well. You will notice there's no water energy. I've opted for no water energy, for no Moonlight Shuriken. I feel like you're either going to do Darkrai or you're going to do water energy. I feel they contradict each other. They contradict each other in their attacks, at least. So Darkrai does more damage for each darkness energy in play. You do attack with Darkrai. So if you're juggling 6 or 7 dark energy and 3 water, you're limiting your Darkrai's attack. So yeah, that's the Radiant Greninja. Morpeko. Morpeko I was on the fence about when it first came out as well. Turned out to be very good. Free retreat when it's in a hungry hurry, which is its ability. When it's got no energy attached to it, it does have free retreat. 2 darkness energy, 70 damage. Move those darkness energy to one of your bench Pokemon. So you are going to be setting up. You're going to be knocking out Comfies, maybe Charmanders. Anything with 70 HP or less, just going to be in the bin, and then you're going to set up the Roaring Moon for next turn as well. And if they don't knock it out, it's got free retreat, which is cool. One Squawkabilly, yeah, I just decided that I would like to, but you actually don't use it every game. You use it a lot. You do use it a lot more than you would in like Maridon, for example, but you don't use it in every game. It was prized, I think, twice when I wanted it out of sort of 5 sets of best of 3 and then a top 4. So like 8, sort of 20, 21 games. It was prized, I think, once or twice when I needed it. So that's not bad odds, really. So that's the Pokemon. You'll notice there's no Mew. In testing on live, I found that Mew, I just didn't value Mew. That's it, really. Like, if you're playing a deck and you're finding that there's a card that you're not valuing, whether or not everybody else plays it, the fact of the matter is you're just not valuing it. You got to get it out. There's other things that I wanted in the deck, so Mew was gone. I don't think there's any other big Brute Bonnet. So Brute Bonnet I like, but this build, this version, it didn't really suit Brute Bonnet. Unfortunately, it's nice to be able to hit that extra poison with 230 on Entei, but you got to make concessions. The thing is with that as well, like Entei mainly now is played with Iron Valiant or Charizard. In those instances, you can cross switcher up an Iron Valiant, or you can cross switcher up Frenzy Gouging the Charizard, or you can power up the Darkrai and just knock it out in that way. Now onto the supporters. So Forsader, of course, get 2 energy from your discard pile, 1 to each ancient Pokemon. Well, if you've got 2 ancient Pokemon play, you can get up to 2, 1 on each of them, and draw 3 cards. Didn't explain that supporter very well, but I hope you get the gist of it. Not much more to say on that, really. It's a big part of the deck, being able to Sader and accelerate energy onto the board. 1 Iono. So this was a back and forth between either not playing Iono, playing a Judge, or playing Iono. And in the end, I think the main reason I went with Iono was because I decided to just put 3 Judge in my Miraidon deck, and I didn't have another Judge. So I went back to Iono. But Iono turned out to be really good. In the early game, it's nice to see fresh 6 cards if you have to. In the late game, putting your opponent down to 1 instead of 4 is obviously really good as well. It's a bit of a risk because you're a deck that is susceptible to Iono. So playing Iono, you're making yourself susceptible to that kind of bricking. But sometimes you have to have that option available. So the Iono is in there. Just the 1 though. Now the 1 boss's orders as well. Boss orders are very, very, very useful. Obviously, most turns you are going to be looking to save it anyway, which is why that there's not a lot of other supporters in the deck. But the 1 boss does come in clutch, and it is findable as well. You're getting through your cards very, very, very quickly, so you're going to be seeing boss without too much of a problem. We also have, I mean, we'll get there anyway, but the 2 Pokegear as well to help you find it. So on to searches. The 4 Ultra Ball and the 4 Battle VOP Pass is it for Pokemon. That's all you need to search for. You're going to be hopefully seeing Battle VIP Pass quite consistently because, again, you're drawing through a lot of your deck. I do like to choose to go second, I think, with this deck into pretty much every matchup. So going second, hopefully we're going to be going Earthen Vessel, discarding maybe like a Dark Energy, finding 2 more Dark Energy. Then you can conceal cards, potentially just drawing more cards. And then you've got your Ultra Ball and you're going to finding the Battle VOP Pass with Squawk as well. It's not something, looking back, I think I was able to Battle VOP Pass pretty much every game. You do play 4, so you're going to find them. And then it's not a problem to be discarding them with those 4 Ultra Ball. There's no nest ball. Again, I didn't feel like I needed one, really. I didn't feel like I needed one. But yeah. Now the 4 dark patch. This is staple, in my opinion. You need 4 dark patch. You need to be able to accelerate energy onto the board, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of frenzied gouging. 3 energy is quite a lot, so you need to be able to power that up very quickly. Now the 4 cross switcher. This is considered a variant. I don't think all Roaring Moon builds are playing cross switcher, which is fine. It's all choice, isn't it? Now, with the amount of draw power you have with Radiant Greninja drawing 3 off Sader, Pokestop as well, and the high trainer count, the high item count, I should say, the 4 cross switcher just kind of made sense to me. It's more consistent than bossing. and there are going to be times where you need to switch out your active as well. So the 4 cross switcher just kind of made sense, and it's definitely a game swinging combination of cards there. And of course, again, you can reuse them with the Darkrai, which is great. For Energy Switch, now you might be wondering why Energy Switch if you're not playing the Greninja. I think often people are just comboing the Greninja and the Energy Switch. You can use Sadie's Vitality to get water onto a Roaring Moon, and then you Energy Switch onto the Greninja. Makes sense. But you can use it for Morpeko, you can use it to set up Darkrai V-Star, you can use it to move energy from a damaged Roaring Moon onto a new Roaring Moon, things like that. It has those plays. So I do really value the 4 energy switch in this build as well. Now, we talked about Battle VIP Pass. 3 Earthen Vessel, that was originally 4, but you find your energy quite quickly. You can very quickly get 5, 6 energy in the discard pile. So easy enough to put it down to 3 in order to make room for another card, which we'll look at in a minute. 2 switch carts, I should say. So switch cart, you could argue should just be switch because we've got Darkrai V-Star, but again, you have 4 cross switcher. So if you need to switch out, you've pretty much always got that option available, especially with Star Abyss. If you're not too greedy using Star Abyss, then if you do get bossed, if the opponent attempts to boss stall your Darkrai, which has happened, then you can easily get out of it. So I think I had 2 attempted boss stalls with the Darkrai, and both times I easily was just able to get out of it because of the cross switcher. So I never actually felt like I needed switch instead of switch cart. Do I feel like I needed escape rope instead of switch cart? That's all. It's always a bit of a question, and it's just situational. Like some situations you want to hit the active, some situations you want to push the active to the bench and hit something new. But I think the balance of cross switcher with the switch cart is probably going to be able to cover all those bases for the most part. We talked about it already. Pokegear 3.0, it hit mostly. Sometimes it doesn't hit. You're only running 4, 5, 6 supporters here, so it's not always going to hit, and you're not guaranteed to hit the one you want, of course, either. But yeah, the Pokegear does come in clutch, especially with that Pokestop. So being able to essentially, like, sometimes you're in a position where you've done your conceal cards, you've got nothing else to draw with, and you need to find a supporter. Well, all I've got is the Pokestop, but if I Pokestop into the supporter, then I lose it. So I need to Pokestop. I need to be able to Pokestop into the Pokegear to find the supporter I need, and that situation does come up quite often. And thankfully, it tends to come in pretty clutch. Sometimes you Pokestop away your Sader, and you're not happy about it, but that's just the nature of the game, isn't it? Yeah, so the 2 Pokegear are good. I wouldn't even be upset about having a third one if I could find the room. But speaking about room, Hisuian Heavy Ball. So the thing with the Hisuian Heavy Ball, this was, I think, what I took the Earthen Vessel, the 4th Earthen Vessel out for. The Hisuian Heavy Ball was something that I considered because we only run 1 Squawk, 1 Morpeko, 1 Greninja, 1 Darkrai V. And prizing Greninja or Squawk is a big problem, and I wanted a way to get it out of the prizes. I mean, obviously you could run 2 Squawk instead. If you wanted to, you could run 2 Squawk, but that doesn't really help you with the Greninja, does it? So I was like, well, maybe I need the Heavy Ball. Now, pretty much throughout the day, I used Heavy Ball effectively once, I think. I think I prized 2 moons in one game, and I was able to get another moon into play because of the Heavy Ball, which is very good, very useful. However, the amount of times that this card was in my hand, dead, mid to late game, and I'm sat there looking at it, because this is the thing as well. It's like I agonized over this because I wanted to play I want to play a Super Rod. So I'm thinking, okay, well, because sometimes you're going to Pokestop away the Darkrai V-Star, right? It just happens, and then you're like, right, well, Darkrai V is dead card now because I don't want to put this. I don't want to put it in play. It's not that good on its own. It needs to evolve into V-Star to be good. So maybe I want to be able to rod it back in, and I can find the rod with the Pokestop, and then I've got the 4 Ultra Ball. It's great. It's great. It's brilliant. But I also didn't want to be stuck needing to Squawk with the damn thing in the prize cards. So I had to make a decision, and I chose Hisuian Heavy Ball. However, throughout the day, even holding that Heavy Ball, if it was a Super Rod, it probably still mostly would have been a dead card. So both of those options were just bad. Well, not bad, but just not as useful as I would have liked them to be. So my thought now, and this is the one change that I'm going to be making to the build, is taking the heavy ball out and putting in a penny. So there were a lot of situations where I'm sat there looking at the board, holding this heavy ball, wishing I had a way to pull that Squawkabilly out of the bench. So I had a suggestion from another friend about, well, originally I thought, oh, Churro, right? Just you run Churro. But most of the deck, pretty much the whole deck is basic. So you could say, well, okay, well, if you play Penny, you can never pull the Darkrai up. There's going to be a situation where you want to. Of course there is, but that's just the risk you take. That's Pokemon. It can't be perfect. There's no perfect deck. There's no perfect 60. So I'm probably going to go for the Penny. The other option that I've been thinking about, and someone suggested, a friend of mine suggested, was a collapsed stadium. And the problem with collapsed stadium is that there were situations, and I can remember them, and one in top 4 particularly, where I'm staring at a Squawkabilly with 14 damage counters on it because of Sableye, and I'm about to concede 3 prizes, and I'm looking at this heavy ball thinking, I really wish I could pull this out of the bench, but I've only got 3 bench anyway. So if it was collapsed stadium, it would have been completely ineffective and null. And with that in mind, definitely going to be taking the heavy ball out. Well, I have actually. The heavy ball is out. I haven't physically done it, but I've done it online. The heavy ball is out, and the penny is in. Darkrai is never going to be coming back from the bench. Anything that hits the discard pile is gone. Sorry, rip. Sometimes the Morpeko as well. It would have been nice to be able to rod the Morpeko back in and hit like a Comfy again or something against Lost Box. But yeah, hey ho. So yeah, that's the decision. Heavy ball out, and pennies going back in. So that was a big one. Palpad. Palpad is pretty easy. Sometimes you're going to be discarding Saders. Sometimes you want more than 4 Saders. Sometimes you want to use 2 Boss or 2 Iono. And then with other sort of plays that you can really manipulate that well. Now the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. We've got 2 here. This is another controversial card for Roaring Moon. I don't see it as particularly controversial. I think it's a must to have a couple of these and just try to draw into them. I mean, think about it, right? You can conceal cards for 2. You can Squawk to see 6, so that's 8. Sader for another 3, 11. Okay, you could see 11 cards in the first turn of the game out of what is, I mean, you've got 47, you're going to draw 1, 46. You're seeing like a quarter of your deck, essentially, in the start of the game. There's not too bad of a chance that you're going to see an Ancient Booster Energy. And even if you don't, you've got Concealed Cards the next turn, another Saders for another turn. So every turn you could be seeing 5 more cards pulling through. Pokestop and get rid of 3 of them. Sometimes you discard it with Pokestop. Tough. Yeah, that's just how it is. Sometimes you discard the cards you want with Pokestop. That's the thing. But the deck runs really well with Pokestop, so you have to play Pokestop. It's quite simple. With Roaring Moon, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. The damn thing puts 200 damage on itself. You have to accept it. But Ancient Booster Energy Capsule wins games. Fact. Having Ancient Booster Energy Capsule on a Pokemon stops it from being knocked out. Alright? That's just fact. Putting Roaring Moon up to 290 HP, it's too much for Miraidon to handle. It's not, obviously they can put Raichu in, but if they're going to play Raichu, then it's easy to knock out Raichu. You can even with a Bravery Charm on a Raichu, Darkrai can just knock that out. All right, and you're playing. Well, I mean, Darkrai allows you to get 2 extra Dark Patches or Dark Patch Energy Switch or all these other jazz. So you can very quickly get a Darkrai from being just a lone V on the bench with nothing on it into the active spot, punching for 270 damage. Actually, it happens. It's doable. I did. I'll get into it in a minute about what some of the stuff I was doing with Darkrai. But yeah, 2 Ancient Booster Energy Capsules for sure. They're brilliant. Again, if I was playing 65 cards, I'd have 3 of them in there. But, you know, we play 60 cards in Pokemon. 4 Pokestop. I think enough is enough about what to say about Pokestop. Could you take one? I'm thinking now, could you take one out and put Collapse Stadium in? You could, but you're talking about reducing consistency. And consistency and the pace is what makes Roaring Moon win games. So, yeah, I think 4 is fine. 10 Darkness Energy. That's it. I played 10. All right. There's not too much to really say about that. 11's pretty good, but 10 is fine. 10 is fine. There is occasional situations where there's a little bit of an energy drought. What are you going to do? You get energy drought. You can put 30 energies in, and sometimes you won't draw them. That's just how it is. So that's the deck. Yeah, thank you, Brave. So that's the deck. That's the 60 that I ran. 59 cards I like. That one Hisuian Heavy Boy did not like. Let's look at some of the matchups. So here we are back to my Twitter. Now, if you can see in the corner here, do you know what? I'm just gonna word. Just because I don't want it to be like mega small for everyone. So let's just get rid of that. Let's go 16, and then thanks guys. And then oh, you can do that. Yeah, well, okay. Oh, we just look at it here then. That's fine. Okay, game 1. Loss, win-win into Shenpao. I can't remember this first game that well. It was quite early in the morning, but yeah, I think the first game I just got ran out because the deck didn't run very well. I was like, oh god, what have I done? I've just travelled half an hour, paid for a cup on a Sunday, and the deck's not running well. But it managed to pull back in the second and third games. It ran pretty well. Managed to get the win-win. Game 2 versus Miraidon, similar sort of situation. I think pretty much every game against Miraidon that I played on this day, they just got the Zapdos into play very quickly, which is very threatening, and it's a part of why you need that future boost energy capsule. Oh, sorry, Ancient Boost Energy Capsule. Similar sort of situation, running out the Miraidon. Now, the big thing here that you can really utilize is the Darkrai V-Star. So Darkrai V-Star has 270 HP, which is quite difficult for the Miraidon deck to knock out. Again, you can use Raichu. It takes 5 energies, though. So it did happen, and it's the same amount of energy for a boosted Roaring Moon, 5 energies. But it's severely limiting their board. Well, it's not severely limiting their board, I should say. It's a lot of energy going disc pile. Yeah, you play 14 or 13 with a double turbo, so or maybe some people play I think 12 with a double turbo now. So it's more than enough energy going disc pile. And if you're not setting up the flaffies, which I think I occasionally was targeting flaffies, Mareeps really with more Peko early doors if it's available. Just get rid of it, limit their ability to accelerate energy onto the board, which also then limits their ability to get the Raichu going as well. So doing that, yeah, has really helped me out in those matchups. Do you know, because this is the thing, I'm recording this on Wednesday, and I can't really remember that much about all the games. So if I check back on my Team X Discord events, yeah, let's have a look here. 2-0, yeah, 2-0. Yeah, so first 2 games went pretty well. You can see I went loss, win-win, loss, win-win. Game 3, Sablezard Moon, terrible matchup. And I went into it knowing it was a terrible matchup and went just double loss, just got absolutely bodied as well. I didn't really get anything set up. It was absolutely atrocious. There's not much to say about that other than it sucked. It really did suck. Now, this is where it starts to get squeaky because of the amount of players we had. It's a top 4. You can only afford to lose 1. All right. 1 loss, 1 draw, I think, is still not good enough. A 3-1-1 is not good enough for top cut. I think you need to go 3-0-2 for top cut. So I was already in a bit of a squeaky bum situation there. And I knew that going into game 4 against Shenpao. Now, this was game 1. It looked like I was going to absolutely trample it. I went really well, really good start. Managed to knock out Shenpao turn 1, take 2 prizes. I'm up. And then get Iono to 4. And it was 4 dead cards I just could not work with, and my opponent was able to very, very eloquently pull it back. Yeah, fair play. I was very surprised, and I was very worried at that point as well. Very worried. Game 2, I believe, was just more of a run out for me. Once again, sort of running things down. Was there Pidgeot in that? I think there was a Pidgeot there. I think I remember sort of cross switching it up and frenzy gouging, getting knockout. Now, game 3 was very back and forth, a bit of a nail biter. The winning play, I had I think because of this is the thing, because of the speed that Roaring Moon is taking knockouts, it forces Shenpao to have it puts Shenpao in a position where it needs more energy in play than it can sometimes physically get into play that early on in the game, which is very good for me. So it puts that Shenpao in a position where it's hitting for like 120 or 180, but not knocking out the Roaring Moon. And that was the situation in the third game against this second Shenpao. Damaged Roaring Moon in play, and I'm just like, okay, well, basically I just need to boss the game. I think they put up, yeah, I think it was a Radiant Greninja play, 1990, good play, would have put me on to 1 prize left, 3 prizes on the Shenpao, 2 prizes for me. Start drawing through some cards, Radiant Greninja, and I have to Poké Gear into the boss for game. I Poké Gear into the boss, good game. I knock out my own Roaring Moon, put them onto 1 prize, but I draw my 2 prizes. So it was a bit of a an exciting game. It was an exciting finish. Game 5. So I'm now 3-1. I need to win, or at least draw. No, I can't even draw. No, I have to win. So it's back to back, sort of winning in almost. Win to stay in, I should say. Win to stay in, winning in for top 4. Charizard, Arceus. So you don't see a lot of Charizard with Arceus anymore. I think, paired down here. I think my opponent was at this point 2-1-0. Yeah, I believe that's right, 2-1-0. So was I 2-1-0? I can't even count. 1, 2. Okay, I was 3. Yeah, so I was 3-1. So my opponent was 2-1-1. That was right. Okay, so 2-1-1. I was 3-1. And yeah, so going into it, game 1 again, I just got ran out. I didn't draw very well. I'm a bit nervous at this point. I'm very worried. I didn't really come into it expecting to do that well with Roaring Moon, but I'm now in a winning in for top 4, and I'm feeling pretty good to be in that situation. So I have to just scoop the game 1, is what it is. Game 2, I get, I think, 2 knockouts with the Morpeko, taking out the Charmanders, running them down, which is what you kind of have to do. This is why the 4 cross switch is so good. You're cross switching up, taking damage with the Morpekos, setting up the Roaring Moon, or sometimes the Darkrai as well in this situation. Because that's the thing, with Darkrai having 270 HP, Charizard can't knock it out until you've taken, I think, 3 prizes. So taking out 2 Charmanders, okay, well, I can just give you Darkrai if you want to hit this. You know, if you want to hit with Charizard, that's fine. I can just take a hit with the Darkrai, and then I can swap to Roaring Moon, and I can finish gouging for another 2 prizes. I also targeted the Arceus V, I believe, in game 2 to take easy prizes with the Calamity Storm. Look, if I'm going down to 2 prizes left to 6, I don't care if my opponent is hitting me with Charizard for the 1-hit knockout. That's fine, I'll take it. Right, I'll take it because I can just frenzy gouging for the game. Game 3 was similarly just high pace, just sort of run the Charizard out, and this is where I managed to do 300 damage with the Darkrai V-Star as well. So I had 2 Roaring Moon fully set up, that's 6 energy, 2 on the Darkrai, 7, 8. I sat there for ages trying to calculate, and I was like, oh, is this one more? Is that 330? I don't know why. When I'm in game, I'm super dumb with calculating. That's the one problem I've got with Darkrai V-Star, is that for some reason, I'm like counting. I'm going 3, 6, 9, 12, and I think I kept skipping 15, like 3, 6, 9, 12. But yeah, like I sort of checked it again, and I think I ended up cross switcher into the Darkrai and then bossing the Arceus V-Star back up and accepting the 300 damage, putting myself into a checkmate position where my opponent can either choose to knock out one of the 2 Roaring Moons, fine, and then the other one just knocks them out with the Frenzy Gouge, so that was kind of game. So making top 4 there. Now top 4 at this point is Roaring Moon. It is the Sablezard Moon that I played against in round 3. It is another Lost Box, which is featuring Radiant Greninja, Dragonite V, and a Miraidon. And I already know that I'm paired against the other Lost Box, which I did not want to be paired against. I do not like that matchup. It was an interesting one, win-loss win. So game 1, pretty much sort of realized that the strategy here is to just take prizes as of turn 1. I won the coin flip. I chose second, and I was unsure about choosing second, but I thought, you know, I'll choose second and see how it goes. We'll see how it runs, and it seems to be the right decision. Um, from turn one, taking knockouts with Calamity Storm with what's he called, Roaring Moon. Oh, that's something I should say as well. In this Shempao, I think it was game one, the game one Shempao. I had to Iono turn one in I think game two, and that Iono put me into the right cards to be able to do turn one Calamity Storm. All right, that's how how fast this deck can run. Even without finding a Seder early game, I was able to get enough 2 energies in the discard pile. Was able to dark patch them, energy switch them into the active spot. That's why we play 4 energy switch as well, in order to do turn one Calamity Storm, and that's sort of the 2/2/2 turning point that I needed to win that game. So it was quite literally that kept me in the tournament. But similar sort of situation here in the lost box. So game one, yeah, it's like I'm watching the prizes go down. I'm going, right, I take one, I take another one, I can see two, I take one, I take another one, I can see two, and it just sort of just about was able to keep that the prize in a positive place, which is great. Game two, I missed 2 turns of attacks, and I pretty much at that point knew I was probably going to lose. But I was like, right, I'm going to play this out because you never know. But the board was being set up, and I got ran out. Yeah, it was no surprises. Game three, similar to game one, I was just running my opponent out of prizes as quickly as I could. A big turning point was that my opponent felt like they needed to play the Dragonite V with in order to force Sealstone, and I think it was like force Sealstone for a switch card. But just doing that, it just enabled to keep I assume just to keep the pace because the Royal Moon has such good pace. So having to force Sealstone for a switch card in order to keep doing flower selectings to get to that magic number 10. Unfortunately, in playing that, I was able to cross switcher it up and knock it out, which those 2 prizes for, yeah, Dragonite not taking 2 prizes but conceding 2, that's going to be a game-changing situation, right? So that was pretty much what happened there. I was very surprised because the deck pretty much ran like a Lost Box Kyogre, but there was no Kyogre in the deck. And like game one particularly, I'm looking at my board and I'm like, okay, he's got 4 prizes left. I have 2, but he's not used any recycles yet. He's got Mirage Gates. I'm just going to get Kyogres into oblivion here. Like, this is not good. But he didn't play Kyogre, so that was great. Great for me. Now, the other top 4 game, of course, would have been the Miraidon versus the Sablezard Moon. Now, the Sablezard Moon player, Joe Lamb, I believe his name is, has been around for a little while. The Miraidon player is relatively new, actually. I'm just going to check his name. Let's have a look here. Joe Lamb. I believe he's. Oh God, see, I'm so bad with names. Jonathan Dark or Gareth Dark, one of the two. Yeah, so he's like relatively new. I actually played him the week before, and I was playing a Sablezard without Moon, actually, funny enough, and I was able to win that match. But different matchup here. Going into the finals, it did make it a win-win. So game one was a little bit of back and forth. I missed the early attack actually, and I was quite worried at this point. I missed the early win, early prize positive situation. However, the ancient boost energy capsule giving me 290 HP meant that his Miraidon would only hit for 220. So literally, as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, well, I have a chance here. I made probably a questionable play. I chose to frenzy gouging to knock out my own Roaring Moon to knock out his what was it? I think he had Bravery Charm on this Miraidon, so it's a lot of that. It was 270 HP. I chose to do that and promoted either the Greninja or the Morpeko, and I basically just sat there hoping that he couldn't boss or around it. And fortunately, he didn't boss around it. The thing is, I think in hindsight, I should just retreat that Roaring Moon, and I should use the other Roaring Moon to frenzy gouging, but I didn't. I sort of at the time was like, oh, I want a fresh Roaring Moon. Yeah, questionable play, questionable play. But in the end, it worked out. Game two was brick for both of us. We both bricked. He opened Raichu and Mareep on the bench, chose to go first, use Raichu's going first attack. I opened Greninja and Darkrai V. Not great. I had very little. I had like no active cards in the hand. They were all pretty much dead. I did have Earthen Vessel and like a basic energy though. So I'm like, all right, Earthen Vessel, discard an energy, get 2 energy, discard for Greninja, draw 2. But I didn't really see anything. I wasn't seeing a lot, and I think it was like 3 or 4 turns before I started seeing something. I don't think I sated the whole game. But he did his second turn as well. So he's got 2 energy on this Raichu V active, Mareep on the bench. Electric Generator twice, okay, gets 1 energy out of it. So he went Electric Generator. I'm thinking, what? Why is he doing that? He's going to knock out this Greninja. Okay, I don't know. Bear in mind, if he just dropped a Zapdos, it's like 1 energy to knock out the Greninja. But yeah, 2 Electric Generators, and then gets 1 energy out of it, attaches another manual, bosses up the Darkrai, takes 2 prizes. Okay, so he's ahead 4 prizes to 6. So I'm thinking, bum. Okay, he could be pulling some live cards out of his prizes here. Thankfully, he didn't, and thankfully he left the Greninja in play, so I was able to draw some more cards. I think I Pokestopped the Sader away as well. I'm like, okay. Eventually got the Roaring Moon into play, managed to knock out the Raichu with Calamity Storm. Again, I didn't Sader at all. It was all Dark Patches and energy attachments, and I think I switch carded into the Roaring Moon. I knock out the Raichu. I sit there, and I hope there's no other basic Pokemon. And of course, he draws a card. He doesn't draw another basic, and he's stuck with just a lone Mareep, and that's game. And that was the competition. So overall, some really good games. Couple of bricks. What more can you say? And yeah, in case you're wondering, as I say here, I am a fan of best of 3 now. I used to really like best of 1. Best of 1 is what we do at my own local store for cups, just because we don't want to be running too long into the night. You know what it's like. But this was good. This was a Sunday cup, and it started at 9:30. Oh yeah, and I'm not against that at all. It was great. I was home by 6:30. But yeah, best of 3s. I lost. Yeah, I lost every first game of best of 3 in Swiss. So in best of 1, I went 0-5 with this absolute trollop of deck. But yeah, there you go. I mean, that's that just tells you all you need to know. So yeah, I'm super. Of course, you can see I'm proud of Punch there, proud as Punch. Super happy with the result. I'm happy to finally be on the board as well. Of our testing group that been playing for a little while and are quite competitive. I'm the only one that's not won a cup, I think now. Well, not anymore. And yeah, considering how into Pokemon I am, and how much I watch games and I play online and all this sort of stuff, it's been disappointing to be the one person that hasn't been able to convert into a win. So to now have that champions mat, I finally don't feel like a complete fraud. A complete fraud. Yeah, so it feels good. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. I'm not going to be that guy who dwells on 1 cup win forever. But I wanted to share the cup win and share the deck with the few people that watch my videos. That's probably going to about do it for this video as well. So thank you very much for watching. Maybe you could revisit Roaring Moon yourself. I don't know. Maybe not though. Hey, don't tell too many people. It's the worst kept secret for me. I'm very excited for Roaring Moon now, and yeah, we tested it a bit. I say we. One of my friends tested this deck last night on live. I saw 1 game and it was very successful, but I didn't see anything else. But yeah, we're going to be testing, and right now it's Wednesday now, so tonight in about 10 and a half hours, hopefully I will have registered for Liverpool Regionals. Maybe this deck is going to be the one I choose, maybe not. We'll see. We've got plenty of time between now and the end of January to decide. Maybe I'll see you there. If I do, best of luck, and I will see you on the next video either way. Cheers.